an in-depth lore about, or like some secrets within the shadow of the Erdtree. If you guys want to know, this is a body video. It basically, they basically explain FromSoft lore, which technically this is where I got most of the story of Elden Ring from, and Bloodborne. I don't know much story about Dark Souls, so I think I'm gonna save that when I play Dark Souls. But for now, we are just going to save it on this one. As much as I want to go in blind, I want to see some things regarding with Elden Ring. So why not, I would say. Why not? All right, let's go ahead and start watching.
So the gameplay trailer for the Shadow of the Erdtree DLC just dropped, and it's also extremely story-heavy.
Pure and radiant, he wields love to shrive clean the hearts of men.
And this is very much the story of Miquella. Let's learn what we can.
See, I told you guys. It's like Miquella's in an egg. Okay, there's more context to this. If you guys want to know why Miquella's in an egg, to anyone who doesn't know Elden Ring stuff, Miquella is in an egg because they were trying to cure Miquella from their curse, which is being forever young. So Miquella is cursed to be forever young, or forever just a child. They cannot grow. So they found this tree, or made this tree, called the Erdtree. And that's where you find Malenia, the very famous arena for fighting Malenia Blade of Miquella, because Malenia is like Miquella's knight. Malenia is like Miquella's shadow. That is the best way that I could say it. Their knight is like the closest thing I could possibly say. But Miquella was trapped in an egg in like that little circle of the Erdtree. But because Malenia is blind and was out and fought Radahn, she did not notice that Miquella was kidnapped by Mohgwyn, who is like an omen child. I'm just saying words now that you guys don't possibly understand. But once we play the game on like at June at the subathon, you guys will understand. He was kidnapped, and then is here. They're trying to ascend Miquella into godhood using blood and not the tree. So either that stunted their growth, or either that made Miquella stop at something, because I don't know if they're alive, I don't know if they're dead, I don't know if anything else is happening. They're just in there, stuck as this for the entirety of the game until the DLC. So we'll figure out something on the DLC later on. Your spawn on so far, haven't heard a single wrong one about the lore, wrong thing about the lore that you mentioned so far. Thank you. I've been rewatching some of Vadi's videos and having to check on Miquella's lore, Malenia's lore, and basically some level of Elden Ring lore again, because man, I love this game. It's such a good game. I can't wait to replay it.
There is nothing more terrifying.
You'll recognize Miquella's cocoon here. It's located in Mohgwyn Palace, and that is the DLC access point that will give way to this.
Yes!
What
yes!
they're calling the Land of Shadow, a place that you can explore on June 21st as long as you've defeated Mohg and Radahn. According to Miyazaki, the DLC is at least the same size as...
Okay, what's funny? I'm sorry for cutting Vadi. Sorry, Vadi, I'm just cutting you out. What's funny is that, like, it says you have to basically conquer or, like, kill Radahn and Mohg. But I don't think you have any other way to get to Mohg Palace unless you go into near endgame. Because technically, Mohg's Palace, Mohg's boss fight, is one of the last 4 or last 3 boss fights you have to fight. So the way that I did it, after fighting Morgott, I know his twin sibling that is also an omen child. I forgot the name. Him. After fighting him, after annihilating him, and because we can't open the tree because it's locked, we have to burn by having to fight the fire giant, and we burn the Erdtree by using Melina as literally the light stick. Quote unquote the light stick and fuel to add to the burning of the Erdtree. And after that you get into somewhere. I forgot where, but I know you'll find another entrance to get into one of the hardest places to get to Moog's palace, which is technically under the city, which is at Nokron. Not Nokron, but near Nokron. But you can see where the palace is, technically, from there. And it's one of the hardest places because it's also one of the bullshit farms for you to just get runes, which is technically just having to fight the bird that is on the edge. You just do that over and over and over, over and over and over again, and just farm for runes until you get to like 120, and you can literally blast through Moog. But you have to. It says you have to kill Radon first, and then you have to kill Moog afterwards. But you can't put one. You can't put one first and the other because you cannot go to Moog's place yet until you defeat a certain boss or like unlock a certain thing. Because again, it's really hard to get there on the first. I could be wrong, because I played the game as intended, which is going from the first few bosses to the next few bosses later on. Because some bosses you may not be able to play against unless you finish some bosses beforehand, such as having to fight Estelle from the Cosmos. You don't get to fight them if you don't beat Radon first. If you don't beat Radon first, you don't get to fight this one. If you don't beat this, you don't get to fight Radon. So there's conditions to unlock the bosses that you need to fight to progress into the story. But I really do not want to lore dump as much as I can here on originally Elden Ring. I'll probably lore dump as much as I can when I play the game, because I feel like that's more fun that way. And I'm sure Aries has basically educated you guys on some level of Elden Ring stuff, because they also, I think they got to Nokron. I don't think they didn't get to Nokron yet, but they got to one of the altars where you have to fight the moose to get a permanent upgrade on something. I forgot the name, but either one. But let's continue on, because I do not want to yap any more further.
Limgrave in the base game, and this will be their largest DLC to date.
In that
Yay!
forsaken place, blood must spill. Blood of your fellows. The Erdtree faithful.
Interviews also reveal that there will be 8 new weapon categories
Yes.
and at least 10 new bosses.
Yes!
They will never think.
Oh my god, wait,
Stories
I'm sorry, I'm
and at
going
least
back.
10 new bosses.
Look at how gorgeous this is. Look how gorgeous. Look how gorgeous this is.
They will never think. They just happen
Oh.
to be on the losing side of a war.
I've waited so long for
Enemies
this.
here are
Fuck,
the
fuck,
vestiges
fuck that
of
boss.
a war
Also,
that
fuck
occurred
that-
in the
that's a
Land
funny
of Shadow
boss.
Long ago.
Not a
They've
boss,
just
but
been
like, oh, this one
obscured
as well.
by the Erdtree
Oh my god.
until now.
That shit's
So many
crazy.
feature
Oh my
designs that
god.
would be considered cursed or blasphemous in the lands between. And there's no better example of that than the newest member of Marika's family, Mesmer.
Mother, wouldst thou truly lordship sanction?
Oh my god, I cannot wait to get the 18 inches of Mesmer the Impaler. And I was right with this basically being Marika's child, because technically Marika's the only one that has a redheaded child along with like Radagon, so it makes sense.
One so bereft of light.
Oh,
We're entering the DLC as a Tarnished that was sanctioned to become Elden Lord, but it seems events in the base game might pale in comparison to what's playing out here with Miquella.
oh my god,
who arrived
yes!
long before we did.
I presume you, too, are keen to know
Crossbow!
just what kind Miquella is doing here.
So let's talk about everything. I have analyzed every frame, translated every interview, and kind of haven't slept in 2 days.
Oh my god, haven't
Good
slept in
night,
2 days, bro.
and I hope you enjoy.
Oh my god.
Stripped of the grace
They're pulling out that sword from them. Oh my god, look at him.
death.
Look at the Impaler. Yes! Yes!
Come now.
Yes! Impale me with that sword. Yes! Spear sword. Yes! Oh my god, look at that. Yeah!
May we meet again.
Looks so good. It looks so good. Oh, there's
Before
a
we
trailer
break down the
alone.
story, I'm going to highlight what I think are 3 of the biggest gameplay details that I found hidden
Okay,
in
I honestly don't know if that's Miquella or I don't know if that's Marika, because this tree looks dead. Or this tree is just starting to bloom or something. I don't know.
some translated interviews. First, Elden Ring's DLC will actually feature a new power scaling feature that will come into play while you're in the Land of Shadow. Here, our character will be able to upgrade their attack power in a way that is separate from your rune level. Let me explain that. So, Miyazaki mentions that this system is somewhat similar to how attack power works in Sekiro. In Sekiro, you don't level attributes to do more damage like you would do in Elden Ring.
Oh.
Instead, your attack power can be raised by defeating certain bosses and claiming their memories. So, a system like this is being added to Elden Ring, and it will be a new way to get stronger in the DLC. In addition to using runes.
Sorry guys, I'm into redheads. The moment I saw a redhead, I'm like, hee. Impale you with what? I said what I said.
To level up, as you're used to. The reason this is being added is because From Software know that there are a lot of players who will be going into the DLC at high levels with their completed characters.
Yeah.
And so instead of having players with completed characters just steamrolling the content, they want players to have that classic experience of struggling against bosses and needing to explore other areas to get stronger,
yeah.
to try again. So by adding a new attack power resource, and hopefully also by scaling our characters appropriately, I think this idea could be genius. And it's especially important for a game like Elden Ring to have this, because this game will live or die by the enormous, expansive world it has, and you need to want or need to explore that world.
That is
Next,
true. Yeah.
of course the DLC will be getting many.
Because again, I think from the first few DLCs that they made, such as Bloodborne to Dark Souls, that you can really just over-level yourself to the point that you can just... You can try! If you want, go ahead. Try to beat Ludwig, I think the Accursed. Ludwig the Accursed and I guess the Orphan of Cause. At a very high level, and even then, I feel like it would still be a struggle. They may just make the bosses harder here, just to make sure that, like, oh, we need to actually be more stronger. I have to level up more than what I thought I would need to level up. Or something else related to it. But having to have a new attribute to where we can farm, let's just say creatures and then little mini bosses here and there, and then of course having to fight the actual bosses, would give the player, I guess, like that bit of grindiness back. Because again, if you just use your normal attributes and stuff, Ludwig is in Dark Souls. No, Ludwig is not in Dark Souls. I said that in Bloodborne. I said I just said, for example, DLCs that are from Bloodborne or Dark Souls. But yeah, as I was saying, having to give the player something to grind on, and not having, again, as Vadi said, to plow through the entire DLC because of them being over-leveled. Because I know that there are players that are going to play this DLC that have all of the weapons. They are not going to possibly start a new save. They would probably have to keep their old save and then just go on ahead and play. Play it as it is, technically. And start up a DLC with that. With being over-leveled to see how it goes. But having a new one, a new attribute to grind for, means that they are still kind of capped on something. So I think that's nice. I feel it's a good decision. That's a good decision for FromSoft.
New weapons, but most interesting is that these new weapons span 8 new weapon categories. Elden Ring already had a ton of weapon types, so getting 8 more is actually kind of insane. So far, we know 6 of these new categories. One is the dueling shield, which combines offense and defense. Another are these reverse grip swords.
Those are like scimitars in a way, kind of, but not really.
And then there's weapons that enable a martial arts style.
Hey, you could be Sanji!
From Dark Souls 2, or the Senpo monks from Sekiro. Miyazaki also mentions a large Japanese sword and a new large sword, whatever that
New
means.
large swords, yes.
Personally, I'm most excited.
More swords, the
for
better. Thank you.
These are equipable throwing weapons where all of your melee attacks are thrown attacks. Elden Ring always had really smooth, ranged gameplay, but the weapons were so bad that it just wasn't worth playing, so I really hope these are viable. Anyway, the third gameplay point I want to mention is that, again, Miyazaki says that the DLC area should be at least the same size as Limgrave, but you need to bear in mind, this is coming from the same humble man who told everyone that Elden Ring would take about 30 hours to complete. So I wouldn't be surprised if Miyazaki is underselling the size of the DLC.
Honestly, if they said that it's Slimgrave, I don't know, because it looks way bigger. Am I just wrong? I feel like you're just saying that it's gonna be small, and then oops, it's just another big map. You're just gonna realize that, oh shit, it's like another big map, because like, you know, as Miyazaki does, they lie. They lie. They lie. is a Miyazaki thing of saying like, oh hey, it's like this. Oh hey, it's like that. And I'm like, you lied. You lied. No.
DLC here, if anything. But that's enough about gameplay for now. Let's talk
Snake.
lore.
Snake.
Shortly after the DLC trailer released, I received an email from Namco Bandai about it, and they included this short poem. It reads, "The Land of Shadow, a place obscured by the Erdtree, where the goddess Marika first set foot, a land purged in an unsung battle, set ablaze by Mesmer's flame. It was to this land that Miquella departed, divesting himself of his flesh, his strength, his lineage, of all things golden. And now Miquella awaits the return of his promised lord."
Oh my god. No way. No way did Miquella actually thought, no, please, don't make me, don't tell me they accepted that. That's, oh my god. All right, you know what? I'm not gonna spoil it for you. I'll probably tell that story. But this is disgusting, by the way. This is disgusting, by the way. I'm gonna tell the lore maybe about it later on, but even then, this is disgusting. The last line.
Let's break that down, starting with the Land of Shadow. According to interviews with Miyazaki, the Land of Shadow is a place that has become physically disconnected from the Lands Between. So this isn't an alternate version of the Lands Between, nor does it seem like we'll be going backwards or forwards in time to access the DLC for once. And that is refreshing compared to past From Software DLCs. I am excited for a DLC that will expand on the present world for once, rather than a past or future world. That said, if anything, the Land of Shadow will definitely contain many remnants of the past, as it is a place obscured by the Erdtree.
Where the goddess Marika first set foot. I'm still so very confused at this, because like, is this just a projection of what the past was? But we're going into like Miquella's like quote unquote cocoon / egg, and isn't this just going through their memories? Like, there's no way that Miquella was born way before like Marika got into. I don't know. There's just so many things regarding the lore of this that I hope get a little bit clarified once we actually do have the DLC, because I'm honestly so hyped for the DLC. I can't wait.
Where the goddess Marika first set foot. If this place can be obscured simply because the Erdtree exists, then I lean towards thinking that this might have always been some sort of shadowy dimension, rather than once physically being a part of the Lands Between landmass, although there is a nicely sized gap right in the middle of the Lands Between where this might fit. But I think the Erdtree does generate a ton of light, so the idea of a Land of Shadow being obscured by the Erdtree kind of makes a lot of sense. As for why this place became obscured by the Erdtree, I think we can lay the blame squarely at the feet of Marika, since the age of the Erdtree is her age, after all, and this age only came about when she ascended to godhood and became the vessel of the Elden Ring.
Yes, but it said on the line earlier that's like the age of Golden, which is still as Miquella's. So is there some part of the Golden lineage in? Well, technically Mesmer being there makes sense, which is, well, not technically part of the Golden lineage, but like golden enough, I guess. Golden eyes. Sure, that works out. Red hair, which is Radagon's thing. And because, spoiler, Marika is Radagon. They somehow reproduced by themselves, even though they're the same person who just changed genders and made Miquella and Melania. And I guess it's a fan theory, but people also believe that Melina is also a child of of Marika and Radagon, and I think it's pretty obvious that Mesmer is literally the child of Radagon and Marika, because red hair really signifies is a significant thing. It signifies that they are from the blood of Radagon. That is the only thing that makes sense, because they're not as tall as a giant, like the fire giant. Yeah, exactly. So to anyone who doesn't know, because the names of the kids that we fought in the original game, which the bosses are technically Marika's kids. Marika and Radagon's kids that we basically fight. And the way that this happens is like she names her kids after the names of her husband, basically. Which, let's just say, is Godfrey. They named this child Godwin. And so Marika and Godfrey's like kids will all start with the letter G. And for Radagon, who married Rhea Lucaria, she named all of her sons and daughters starting with the letter R, because her husband's name starts with the letter R. So both of them technically start with the letter R. So Radagon, Rhea Lucaria, all of their children start with the letter R. And of course, with Marika and Radagon, Marika wanted to start, I guess this time, with her name, M, for Melania, Miquella, Melina, and Mesmer. So yeah, what a nerd. I'm sorry. I love this game so much, and the lore is very, very intricate. That's the reason why I kind of have a quote-unquote encyclopedia knowledge on this one. I may not have an encyclopedia knowledge of Power Rangers, or I guess One Piece. I know much enough on One Piece, but for this one, I would say I know a lot of stuff on Elden Ring, and because I love Elden Ring, I love this game so much. Game of the year, woo!
The biggest part that's always been missing from Marika's story is what happened before she became a god. And the shadow of the Erdtree seems to hide the answers to that exact question.
Because it's like the past, right? Here's hoping that we actually do get some lore on Marika, because didn't Marika just existed? Like, she just exists in Elden Ring. Like, everyone knows that, like, oh, Marika's, like, the bearer of the Elden Ring, and she just shattered it, and Radagon wants to fix it. And, like, that's just it. That's all we know about them. Is the ultimate god. She is literally the messenger of the greater will. The greater will in the golden lineage, because there are other gods. There are a lot of greater wills, basically, in the game. There's like other like greater wills or other like entities trying to get into the lands between, such as the fingers, like the two fingers, was it, or three fingers? I could be wrong, but the two fingers is basically the fire one. That's the fire one. And because once you engrave yourself into being the fire, you can burn yourself. You can burn yourself to become the Lord of Frenzy, the Frenzied Flame. There you go. That's the name. The Frenzied Flame. That's the other greater will type of god named Frenzied Flame. And this is kind of like a very disastrous ending type of thing, because you at the end of it, you just engulf the entire world with fire. And Melina, who gave you Torrent, that you promised to take care of Torrent, that then also burned, because everything that you touch burns. So the ring that Torrent was in also burned, I think. So Melina was very, very mad and is, I think, hunting you down canonically in that ending. But there's also like Ronnie's ending, which is, I think, the moon ending. I don't know, the moon god ? I guess. Other ones such as like the blood god that Moog is very, very dedicated to, which is why that like Moog's entire battle is literally having to pierce through the sky, because they are piercing through the god of getting the blood from the god to use as their power. And the golden lineage is one, of course, that also works. Yeah, that is that. I think those are the only gods. 3, 4, could be more, because we honestly don't know. Guys, did mobile viewing get better? This shit doesn't suck anymore as much. Who knows? Maybe they updated it. There There are other elder gods alluded into the game. Maybe we'll figure out more. True. Frenzy Flame ending had the ring survive and oh, okay. I thought it was burned because there was but a little tiny glow that's not there as much anymore. I mean, what are these lands between anyways? How much is out there? A lot. There's a lot. I don't know why there's a lot of like kind of elder gods or like greater wills trying to fight against this certain land. Because technically this land was first was owned by dragons, and so the greater will kind of kicked them out and just let them be. It'll always be dragons that are the start. Some people are even saying that's kind of connected to Dark Souls because technically it was like the land of dragons before there were any flame. And maybe I think the frenzied flame could have started with Dark Souls because it was all flame until there was nothing, and they only would need the flame to survive. I don't know. There's a lot of connected things here and there. There's a lot of things. Okay, moving on. I keep yapping.
Question. Since the poem calls the Land of Shadow the place where the goddess Marika first set foot. Marika setting foot in this place before setting foot in the lands between.
Do you guys think the Land of Shadow is literally like, it's like a mirror comparison to the lands between type of thing? Because this one is all gold and shine, and the Land of Shadow is literally just about darkness. Could be like the first place that they set foot, only to find that there was another place where she could probably rule and like get a quote unquote Erdtree, and which is the one that we have. But because it did say Shadow of the Erdtree, so is it like the upside down world in Stranger Things? That's actually really crazy to think about. If like there are some things in the Shadow of the Erdtree, some locations that we know is there but like different or is not built yet because it's either in a different time where it doesn't happen. I don't know. I'm just having to do like crazy connections, man.
Makes a lot of sense because we've always known that Marika isn't from the lands between.
Yeah.
She's a part of the Newman race. And the Newman are said to have come from outside the lands between. The character creator calls the Newman supposed descendants of denizens of another world. So either this other world is the Land of Shadow and Marika originates from there, or
that could
Marika
be,
comes from somewhere outside the lands between and outside the Land of Shadow, but simply set foot in the Land of Shadow before venturing to the lands between.
This also is a good theory because technically she just became into the lands between, and the greater will just said like, here, rule, go crazy. Also, here's Malekith, your half brother, and also your shadow, go crazy, and make kids. I don't know, let them know about the greater will and then the golden order. Technically, the Newmans all have blonde hair, so if you have blonde hair, you are of royalty, basically. That's the reason why the Golden Capital is called the Golden Capital, and it's inlaid in gold. It is for the richest of the rich. It is for the royalest of royals, because gold is royalty in this game.
Either interpretation could be true at this point, I think. At any rate, it seems like the Land of Shadows is extremely important to Marika's past. Miyazaki drops a huge detail on that note, stating that the Land of Shadows is the place where Marika became a god and the golden tree was born.
Oh!
I can't wait for the DLC to elaborate on those circumstances.
Oh, I want to see that.
When Marika did claim the Elden Ring, her most significant act was removing the Rune of Death from it. Afterwards,
oh my God,
many previous
yeah.
cultures.
Yes. Okay. So to anyone who doesn't know, because like, do you know how like those like creatures that we fight in any game like revive after we go back? Because that's just a normal game mechanic. They want to not make it easier for you to go back from where you came from. But for Elden Ring, they made it into a smart way where the Rune of Death, so technically no one can die. The Rune of Death enables people to actually die. You actually get to die if you have the Rune of Death enabled. But if you don't have it enabled, you tuck it away into some place that like time is nowhere. Time is frozen forever, which if you know where it means, haha, Faramazula, haha. Because it's stuck there, no one can die. And it is just kept in a jewel or like kept in a medallion to be stuck there forever. So no one can die. So the reason why every time you save, every time you go away and return, they're back is because they literally cannot die. They are just back. They're yeah, they can't die. They wake up after like a couple of seconds. It's like, oh, all right, time to fight that tarnished that was with a horse earlier. Because they went back. I don't know. I guess they're lost. But yeah, having to not have death, the death rune, means that like you can't actually die. Makes everybody immortal. So I think that's a very, very smart way to like reuse your enemies by not like making it seem very video gamey. They really, really immerse you in this game.
Torches of death were rendered obsolete, as souls were now supposed to return to the Erdtree. So, if souls started to return to the Erdtree, where they were presumably reborn, where were souls going before that? Now, this is just speculation, but is it possible souls once went to the Land of Shadow? Could the Land of Shadow once have been a sort of afterlife? As evidence for this claim, consider that A. Miquella only managed to depart to the Land of Shadow when he divested himself of his grace and his flesh, so his death led to him being here.
Oh wait, he's actually dead, never mind! Is it confirmed that Miquella's actually dead? If it's confirmed that they're dead, then yeah, well, I guess it makes sense. But are we just going into the mind of a dead person? Even though, I don't know. Tasty looking egg. I don't know. You guys think that this is a tasty looking egg? This looks like weird.
Yeah. Next, trailer dialogue explains that those stripped of the grace of gold shall all meet death in the embrace of Mesmer's flame. So those who are stripped of the grace of gold have to meet death in this place. And the last bit of evidence for this speculation is that there already is a shadowy realm of death alluded to in Elden Ring lore, called the Helfen. So, since we know that the Erdtree disrupted the previous cycles of death in the lands between, it definitely makes sense to me that the Erdtree might obscure the Land of Shadow beyond just being a bright source of light. It might have replaced its existence as a sort of afterlife, but I could definitely be wrong on the afterlife stuff, so let me know what you think. At any rate, the Land of Shadow has now become relevant again, for the Tarnished have found a way to enter this forsaken place.
Yeah, by
The poem goes on to read, "A land purged in an unsung battle, set ablaze by Mesmer's flame." I interpret this as the land was purged in an unsung battle, and then it was set ablaze by...
An unsung battle means it was not... There was not a battle that happened. There was a land purged. It was not purged because there was no battle, but it was set ablaze by Marika's child Mesmer, who maybe she cast it out over there. Maybe she gave like, hey, this is your job. Go be the Reaper. Once people die, or like not like is not given gold of like the golden grace. You're stuck there. You become the Grim Reaper. You become death in the shadow realm. It's just like, okay, mom, bye, mom. And maybe, I don't know. The fact that the Tarnished, alive because of the greater will's grace, is able to do things the way do, like go to the Land of Shadow, raises questions. It really does, unless that we were there originally. Unless we were there originally, because we Tarnished don't have grace. We started off with no grace until we were given grace. So maybe that's the reason why we got to the lands between. We were given grace when originally we're from the Land of Shadow. I feel like that's a good theory to come up with, I think. Huh. Because originally maybe we were there, and maybe the reason why we can go back is because we were originally there. I don't know, there's so much things that we could possibly think about. We're literally like 12 minutes in, and I'm still just here yapping about some stuff here and there. The Greater Will brought the tarnish from destined dead, so why do we defy it so strongly? We even kill its lords and rend its foothold in the form of the tree. That's true. Oh my gosh, there's so much things. There's so much things to think about.
It was set ablaze by Mesmer's flame. These seem to be two separate things. So first, let's talk about the war, the unsung battle. In an interview, Miyazaki references the war when he was asked about this Wicker Man enemy, and replies, "So this giant basket of flame was a terrible, gruesome weapon used in a war that occurred in the Land of Shadow. The kindling that you see is actually the remains of bodies that were put in there to burn. As for whose enemies were..."
That's a weapon? That's a weapon? That's a moving weapon of dead bodies being burned? Like they burn the body and put them in there? That is metal. That shit's metal. What the fuck? That's pretty metal. Hey, yo. Imagine saying in like the afterlife, like someone asks like, so yeah, I died of this, I died of that. How did you die? I was burned by this giant like reckoning machine that is used for war and merged itself with my body. So technically I'm part of the machine that can burn other bodies. That's a metal way to say on how you die and then how you lived on. Oh my god.
Put inside the Wicker Man, I'd wager that it was Marika's enemies, since she's the one who came out victorious as a god, and with the golden tree as well. Just speculation though. Zully the Witch points out that the Wicker Man traces its origins back to Celtic myth, where people were allegedly sacrificed within a wicker statue, and many other users have pointed out that this design may have instead been drawn from Berserk.
I mean, of course, like Miyazaki is in love and would love to always get references from Berserk. Literally, like Malekith's armor, editor. I know this is gonna be turned into a YouTube video. Editor, put that up. Show Malekith's armor to those watching YouTube, and then compare it to Guts' armor. It is the closest we can get to having an actual Berserk armor in the game. All right, moving on.
They were never saints. They just happened to be on the losing side of a war.
If you look closely, you can actually see a mane of red hair
Red! That means giants!
attached around a face on the Wicker Man's
Giants!
thighs. Red hair like this is referenced in the
The
Giant's
fire
Red
giants!
Braid, which reads, "Every giant is red of hair," and Radagon was said to have despised his own red locks. Perhaps that was a curse of their kind.
And here's the thing. Radagon originally had, is blonde because they were from the Golden Order. But because they because they annihilated the giants, the fire giants, because they have the power to quote-unquote burn the Erdtree with their fire, they all killed every giant but one who always has to tend the flame, because he can't do anything other than to tend the flame, because that is their literal life. If the flame goes, then their life is just but gone. That is all, and they won't have much purpose after. From what I remember, that's the reason why. It's like a cruel fate that Marika brought upon these giants, where they have the power to burn the Erdtree, but only kept one to tend the flame to make sure, because that's literally their life. I don't know if they wanted to actually burn the Erdtree, but if this giant's plan, the one you guys see behind the description and everything, is to burn the Erdtree by having to keep the flame going, then they were stuck with having to try to burn the Erdtree, but can't because the flame is not as like fiery as it was before. I know, it could be wrong. But after killing most of the giants, they cursed Radagon to having red hair. And that's the reason why that Radagon has red hair. Meanwhile, Marika does not. So when the transformation happens, when it switched from red blonde hair to red locks, it signals that Marika transformed into Radagon.
Incidentally,
Oh man, such a bad curse. I know, right? Such a bad curse. Oh my gosh, please have more red hair. Ha 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 ha.
red hair here is just one of many symbols in the trailer that are considered blasphemous over in the lands between. Omen horns, for example, are another such symbol of
Yes.
despised beings under the Golden Order. And Omen horns
Omen
are seen
babies.
here on the Wicker Man, here upon the Lion Dancer, here on these enemies, and even upon the roaring rune bear.
There's a
thing,
lot of
which also
Omen.
has that red hair.
Um,
And then there's this hippo thing that's using an aspect of the crucible, which were also aspects that became despised and scorned. And then there's a spirit wielding the iron cleaver that's the signature weapon of the misbegotten, who were also despised. So lots of blasphemous symbols going on, but no character in the DLC has as many of them as Mesmer, who is the character that is at the heart of the Shadow of the Erdtree DLC, maybe even more so than Miquella. This is the demigod who would set ablaze the land of Shadow.
Mother, wouldst thou truly lordship sanction in one so bereft of light?
So this is Mesmer.
he's so hot.
The mother he mentions is Queen Marika.
Yeah,
An
had a
official
feeling.
interview makes this quite clear. To quote Miyazaki, and you may have seen at the end of the trailer, there was this piece of key art where it shows Mesmer sat in this throne-like chair, and people who've played the game may recognize this throne to be one of those from the boss room where you battle.
Oh my god, I didn't even recognize that. Wait, that makes sense. The thrones. It just a Morgoth didn't say Mesmer's part, cause Morgoth said some of the names of like the ones who are supposed to be seated there, but didn't say Mesmer's. But why does Mesmer sit on that throne when Morgoth refuses to acknowledge? Maybe Morgoth refuses to acknowledge Mesmer, even though technically they were butt of the Golden Order. Kind of, they're from the Golden Order. Oh my gosh, there's so much lore. I'm getting so much things from this.
Morgoth, and this represents the thrones at the base of the Erdtree, and it's supposed to symbolize that Mesmer stands on equal footing to these other demigods and children of Marika who sat around in these thrones and held the rooms of the Erdtree. So he is an important figure who rivals these other demigods, and as you play the DLC, you will learn a little about why he wasn't featured in the Legends of the Erdtree, the Lands Between. You'll realize why he exists in this shadow, this land of shadow.
Imagine if Marika just casted him out, being like, yeah, you're there. Fuck you. The throne room is the boss room, yeah, of Morgoth. Why would Morgoth not mention it? Maybe it's because the chair wasn't physically there, or perhaps he doesn't know about Mesmer, or maybe he does, and it's a secret. Because there's a level, because he is so dedicated for the Golden Order. Out of everyone, he is the most dedicated of having to keep the Golden Order. He would have learned about as much as he could, but because he was living in the sewers, because he was an Omen baby, maybe he didn't actually know. Maybe he didn't know about Mesmer. Maybe he found out about Mesmer, and maybe didn't want to tell us about it, because if we tell something about it, like, oh yeah, we're missing one seat, by the way. There's another god called Mesmer, but they're in the Land of Shadow, so yeah. And then we're just like, the Land of Shadow, you say? Kills Morgoth, goes to the Land of Shadow. But yeah, it makes sense. There's a lot of reasons why Morgoth couldn't possibly say. Either they know, either they don't know, either something else. Who knows?
As to who Mesmer's father is, well, there are many signs that they're a product of Radagon. For one, there's the red hair.
Red hair,
and
yeah.
Then there's the fact that Mesmer's name starts with M.
With an M.
Which suits the naming
Yeah.
convention for the children of Marika Radagon, who are Miquella, Melania, and possibly Melina.
Yeah, Melina's a really, people think that Melina's actually, like, their child. Even though, like, their red hair isn't as, like, red, but it's just a fan theory that a lot of people would like to think that it's canon. So it's like fanon. People think that it's canon that way. Who knows? Miquella is the only one that had blonde hair, though, surprisingly. Out of everyone, they're the only one that had blonde hair. It's, I don't know, it's weird. Because, yeah, Ronnie didn't have blonde hair. Radon did. I think, what's his name? The snake? Rykard. I think Rykard had red hair as well. Ronnie did not. I think only Rhea Lucaria only had 3 kids. I don't know. Family tree is so weird. it's like a branch. There's like so many branches on it. But Miquella only having the blonde one. But then again, they're cursed, so.
Speaking of Melina, we've talked many times about the butterfly theory, which posits that all children of Radic and Marika have a butterfly of their own. Miquella's is the nascent butterfly, Melania's is the Aeonian butterfly, and since Melina is the kindling maiden, we've long speculated that hers was the smoldering butterfly.
Oh, that makes sense. Because you only get these butterflies from certain things in the story. I don't think you get them double. Unless something. I don't know. To be Melina not related in some way would be a debate to the audience just to mess with us? Maybe. Which I guess he could troll, but I doubt it. That's true. Miyazaki doesn't do coincidences, as MatPat says to Scott Cawthon. It's always intended. A lot of things are intended. We see Ronnie's original hair color. Isn't it like bluish type of thing? Bluish white? Near that color?
But now it seems that butterfly could belong to Mesmer instead, given his much more overt flame.
True! Because he uses fire attacks. So maybe Melina was not actually the kid, but maybe they're kind of somewhere from someone else's tree instead. It's just not obvious that they're from a golden lineage or from royal blood. Because from hair, but their eyes speak something. But Mesmer makes sense for the most for the smoldering butterfly because their attacks are all fire-based. Who this hottie? Their name is Mesmer the Impaler. And you can pre-order in Elden Ring for the DLC to get 18 inches of Mesmer if you'd like.
Symbolism. That said, there is a 4th pink butterfly featured in the trailer now, so it's possible the butterfly theory might still have wings. If Mesmer was legitimately born alongside the other children of Marika Radigan, that actually places his existence a little bit later in the timeline, still in the age of the Erdtree, but after Radigan left Renala for Marika. Whatever the case, Mesmer would find himself in the Land of Shadow, delivering death to those stripped of the grace of gold.
Those stripped of the grace of gold shall all meet death in the embrace of Mesmer's flame.
Since this line is delivered by a third party, it seems there's a common belief here that Mesmer's role is to deliver death to those stripped of grace.
I honestly thought that because of the snakes, I thought they were related to Rykard. So maybe a sibling of Rykard. So originally I thought like maybe the Mesmer is a child of Radagon and Rhea Lucaria, but that doesn't make sense because their naming scheme all starts with R. So if technically they're supposed to be the child of Radagon and Rhea Lucaria, they have to start with the letter R. And because they started with the letter M, it only makes sense that they are the child of Marika and Radagon. And that's the only thing that makes sense, because the only ones that have the M names are the child of Marika and Radagon. So, 18 inches of what? Yes, that is actually how they promote it. They promote it as 18 inches of Mesmer the Impaler. That is literally how they marketed the statue. What do you want from me? I'm just actually saying it from the actual Twitter of Elden Ring. Okay, man. To yourself to 18 inches of Mesmer. Yeah, that is exactly how it said it. They said it exactly like that. I'm not even kidding. That is actually the tweet. And people, I thought you were joking. I was not. It is true. It is really, really true. It is true. That is the actual tagline for them marketing the statue of Mesmer. So it literally said treat yourself with 18 inches of Mesmer the Impaler. I thought you were trolling me. I was not. I was being as serious as I was. I need him. I want 18 inches of Mesmer. Do you have like $250? And are you willing to fight other people to literally wait on getting Mesmer the Impaler at like June 21st? Because like for us here on the Philippines, we can't technically pre-order it. We have to wait on June 21st for it to actually release. But the problem is how many people are going to buy it, and I think a lot of people will buy it. So for me, I just want to be safe. I just went ahead and asked Citricos, sent over the money, and I said like, yeah, if I buy this for me, I'll send it over afterwards, and then I'll be able to get Mesmer the Impaler. Yes, I will treat myself to 18 inches of Mesmer the Impaler, because that is how they say their marketing to be.
Find themselves in the land of shadow, including, apparently, our Tarnished, who finds themselves at odds with Mesmer.
That's gonna be a cool boss fight.
Wouldst thou
This would be such a cool boss fight once it happens. Oh my god, look at him. Oh my god. I turned the whole store into a paint shop for them 18 inches. So true. So true, King. So true.
So
Don't mind if I do. Exactly. Yeah.
In
Also,
this
they're a
dialogue,
redhead. I must get
I
them.
think Mesmer is questioning why Marika has seen fit to restore grace to the Tarnished and sanction their lordship, guiding them to become Elden Lord. Even though in his eyes,
But technicality, Godfrey is a Tarnished who was given much grace and power to become a worthy Elden Lord. So this is not the first time. Maybe because Godfrey was already gone and Mesmer was probably like, Mom, I only know you and Dad. So, which is technically Marika and Radagon, and probably he thought like, God, he doesn't know Godfrey maybe, that a Tarnished has already been married to his mother. Maybe, I don't know, maybe he doesn't look like he cares about family tree and would like solitude. Holy moly, I know, look at him, he's so hot, redhead and everything. Mwah.
we are bereft of light.
Dude, he
Mesmer
can impale me.
strikes
I've been
as a bit
asking
of
for a
rebel
while if he could
and
impale me,
an
man.
outcast. He's not what you'd expect.
I'm
from
like,
someone who
damn,
is
look at him. Oh
clearly
my
killing
god.
people who have been
Look at him.
stripped of the
Oh,
grace of
yes,
gold.
get him.
But I do
Yeah.
ultimately think that he holds Marika in high regard. I do think he's doing this on her behalf. The fact
Let me
that
simp,
he
Chad. I
sits
barely
on a
simp.
demigod's
I barely am
throne
down bad,
might
okay?
be evidence enough.
I see redhead
but
and they're hot
in
and
an
they can
excellent
fight.
bit of
They can
photo
stab
manipulation
people. Yes.
by user Woosa69 on Reddit, we can clearly spy a statue of what seems to be Marika in the background. It has her signature braid and her armband as well. And uniquely, she's holding a baby who could be Mesmer, but that's just speculation.
Could be.
We know Marika uses people, even her enemies, even the blasphemous. She will keep a fire giant alive just so it can watch over something for eternity. She will disguise herself as Radagon, make her biggest rival fall in love with him, and then abandon that rival and undo them from...
I mean, if Raya Lucaria manages to love Radagon, and I feel like Radagon and Raya Lucaria had a pretty decent relationship to have like 3 kids and a 4th one, because technically the egg that she has right there is a 4th one. I don't know when that'll grow into a child, but technically they have 4 kids now.
Within, she will condemn the misbegotten and then get one of them to craft weapons for a Tarnished so that they can become Elden Lord. So in a similar way, I feel like Mesmer being useful to Marika, despite very clearly being a blasphemous character, really isn't that strange. But what do I mean about Mesmer being blasphemous? Well, first, there's the snakes. According to the Gravekeeper Cloak, the snake is viewed as a traitor to the Erdtree. And now we don't know if they're talking about Mesmer's snake or the Great Serpent, which is what we assumed before.
Yeah, that's the thing. There's 2 snakes in this royal family. Could be Rykard, could be Mesmer's, because technically Rykard was fighting you because he wants to quote unquote, something. I forgot the line, but Together we will yada yada yada. I know he's crazy.
Whatever the case, there's no way that Mesmer's snakes would be looked upon favorably by the Golden Order. In the Erdtree Colosseums, for example, the audience delighted in seeing the bronze snakes on the armor of the gladiators be beaten and battered. And then there's Mesmer's usage of flame. According to the Spark Aromatic, fire was prohibited to those who served the Erdtree. And while this rule was forgotten as the war drew ever on, I do think Mesmer might have some links to the flame of the Fell God, if I had to guess. He's got the red hair, and snakes do appear on the Giant's Flame Forge in the mountaintops, but I'll admit these connections are pretty shaky.
They're pretty shaky because if they're technically the child, unless the child chose a different path, and despite respecting their mother, even when he was casted out, still the mother is still like, you know what? If I cast you out here, maybe you can do something for me. I don't know. And we're just throwing in speculations. We're just throwing in like words here and there, like pictures, stories, seeing how like one thing could work, one thing could not.
I don't know exactly what kind of flame Mesmer is using just yet. Lastly, Mesmer clearly has
to the land of shadow you go.
Dragon communion, which is also something that's frowned upon. Dragon communion is the abhorrent act of consuming the hearts of dragons to commune with the ancient dragons and become more like them. According to the Magma Worm's Scale Sword, Dragon Communion is a grave transgression for which many partakers were cursed to crawl on their bellies as shadows of their former selves. As evidence for Mesmer's communion, his one good eye is yellow and slitted, which is a clear symptom of consuming the dragon hearts that even our Tarnished gets afflicted with. And, not to mention, his winged armor looks a lot like the Drake Knight set, which is a set that labels the Drake Knights as partakers of communion. Then there's this symbol on the box art, and even the fire he conjures that looks a little bit like the Dragon Communion seal, but it's not a one-to-one match. And then serpents themselves are considered imperfect dragons, in Dark Souls lore at least, and Mesmer's serpents are sprouting draconic wings, so there could be something there.
What I'm currently understanding. Oh, look at that! it's the 18 inches of Mesmer the Impaler. Oh my gosh. Can't wait to get this and have it put up to the rest of my collection. But as I was saying, there could be more. There could be more to this because again, this is so intricate with the lore that they're making. If all of these are true, with so many blasphemous things with Mesmer, they're trying to paint Mesmer as blasphemous, like a lot of all bad things in the world. And I don't know if that's intentional. I mean, of course it is. I feel like it is intentional, but why have anything dragon related? Why have anything snake related? Why have anything fire related? Why have red hair for a reason? Because there needs to be a reason as to why he has all these blasphemous things like into his character, other than story or lore.
On this promotional page, we also learn that Mesmer's full title is Mesmer the Impaler. And it could be that this name simply comes from his fighting style, but I will also point out, as many others have already, that there is a catacomb in the Lands Between called the Impaler's Catacombs. So it's possible he got this reputation from certain deeds that he committed in the Lands Between. Of all the characters I can think of, only the Fire Giants and Marika come to mind as ever being impaled. The Fire Giants' stakes aren't identical to Mesmer's.
They kind of do for a little bit. Maybe that's how they won. They got impaled, and that like thing that grew out of them and just turned into trees because dead bodies decay, they go back to the ground, and then yada 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 yada. If Mesmer was born alongside Miquella and Melania, then it would be strange for him to have impaled the giants. since Godfrey led the war against the giants before, which is a thing, unless there's something we don't know about the timeline about this. I don't
They
know.
are
It's
similar.
weird.
And Marika being impaled at the end of the game never really had a good explanation, so maybe this is a chance for them to explain that, finally. So, in conclusion, I get the vibe that Mesmer is this rebellious, kind of blasphemous child, but that they're still loyal and, more importantly, still useful to their mother, who is Marika. Though, of course, all my opinions and speculations in this video, especially, are very subject to change.
Yep.
Next, let's talk about Miquella.
Miquella! If that is actually Miquella.
Miquella is many things. He is the demigod son of Queen Marika and her consort Radagon. He is Miquella the Nascent, cursed with eternal youth. He is Miquella the Unalloyed, who sought to find a cure for his sister's scarlet rot.
Yep.
He is Saint Trina, an alter ego who deals in sleep and dreams. And he is Miquella of the Erdtree, a sort of Erdtree that he eventually embedded himself within.
Yep, that's a tree that I
He's
told you guys
also
about earlier.
the subject of an hour-long lore video on my channel, and I'm also going to be talking about him again later this week in a lore video about Moog, so please forgive me for being brief in my description of him here. Suffice to say though, Miquella is a very important demigod. He's also an Empyrean, which means he is a
He
rare...
can ascend to godhood. He can take Marika's place. So I guess that's one of the things I forgot to tell you guys. Basically, they are quote-unquote demigods, but if you are granted to be an Empyrean, you have a chance to actually, rather than becoming the Elden Lord, because the Elden Lord is literally just a consort of Marika. That's the reason why it's called the Elden Lord. But if you become an Empyrean, or is like born to be an Empyrean, then you have a chance to take away Marika's throne and literally be the god of the entire realm. You are literally the queen of this entire realm, wherein the king is nothing, the queen is everything.
Character eligible to become a god and succeed Queen Marika. Additionally, his sister says that he is the most fearsome Empyrean of all, and that he possesses the wisdom, the allure of a god. It's this allure that has led to his fate in the base game, which is to say, he appears to be dead at the hands of Moog, who is Miquella's demigod half-brother. Moog ripped Miquella
Yeah, now do you understand why I see it as disgusting? It's incest, basically. What?
was cocoon out of the Erdtree and abducted him. Now Miquella's cocooned flesh lies in Mogwin Palace, and his withered arm there will become the entrance to the DLC. Miyazaki elaborates on this point, stating that Miquella has traveled to the land of shadow for his own reasons, and it's up to the player to follow in his footsteps, as many other NPCs also have before you. The poem reads, "It was to this land that Miquella departed, divesting himself of his flesh, his strength, his lineage, of all things golden." The fact that Miquella has divested himself of his flesh reminds me a lot of Rani, who slays her own flesh intentionally in order to free her from the control of the two fingers. Through his own death, it seems, he has departed to the land of shadow, though now he is without his strength. He's also likely divested himself from his great rune, which is probably this one, seen here,
Could be.
which takes the same shape as this emote you get for pre-ordering, which is called Ring of Miquella. So all of this should explain why he
Dang it,
needs
George
you.
R.R. Martin. Yeah, it's
The
a George
poem
R. It's a
continues,
George R.R.
and
Martin
now
thing.
Miquella awaits the return of his promised lord. If I had to guess where we're ultimately headed, it would be the castle here, right beneath the shadow of the Erdtree. Here, an ark is catching the bounty of the Erdtree, just like the rune arcs do, and the sky above is enwreathed by these ethereal cloth tapestries.
Ow!
According to Miyazaki, these tapestries are a veil.
Thank you, Signet, for
and
the prime.
They are a symbol of the land
For
of
5 months. I
shadows
appreciate
being
that. Big love.
hidden from the world outside. And speaking of veils, the Black Knives are assassins that are invisible due to their concealing veils. And we have a talisman that is a part of those veils, put together from dark cloth with a lustrous sheen that completely hides the wearer's presence. Earlier,
I think this is a Black Knife Tiche. So technically, if you get Black Knife Tiche, they're like a summon. So if you get Black Knight Tiche as a summon, they literally have a sword that is imbued with death. So technically, if you were impaled with that sword, you will slowly decay and die. That is the reason for as to how they killed Godwyn the Golden.
we talked about how Marika
Or Godwyn
was
the
likely
Favorite, I would say.
responsible for the Land of Shadow being concealed or veiled, and according to the Black Knife armor, the Black Knives are rumored to be Newman who had close ties with Marika herself, so maybe we're already starting to understand the nature of this veil. That said, the way this veil is laid brings to mind a lot of things. At first it reminded me of Marika's bedchambers. Then I thought maybe it could represent Mohg's bloody bedchamber, as he puts it. Or it could even represent the baldachins of the deathbed companions, which, according to the baldachin's blessings, are hidden temples in the guise of a bedchamber. This could represent Miquella's long-awaited rebirth, or maybe his eternal nascence. It could even represent the fact that he is Saint Trina, an alter ego that has to do with sleep and dreams. So many things. Speaking of Saint Trina, though, there's a brief shot of a masked character who looks like they're sleeping in a purple swamp. The droopy flowers in the background might be Saint Trina's lilies, and the purple haze of this swampy area definitely gives off sleep effect vibes. You might recall when
it's
Ranni
Ranni.
first meets with you in Elden Ring, she does so amidst a mist, which has put Kale and his donkey to sleep nearby. And the more I think about it, the more I think this encounter might have to do with Miquella. In this moment, Ranni gives you the spirit calling bell and 3 wolves, which she says are from Torrent's former master. And considering we see what looks to be Miquella riding Torrent here in the Land of Shadow, I think we can reason that Torrent is Miquella's steed, and thus that Miquella has given you gifts via Ranni and favored you ever since the very beginning of the game.
Wait, am I the Lord? Am I the promised Lord? Am I? Because, like, technically, Miquella can ascend to godhood and is an Empyrean, so they can technically succeed to Marika. And also, Ranni is also technically an Empyrean, so that's the reason why the moon ending is as is. But the other Empyrean that we know is Miquella, so am I, quote-unquote, the promised Lord that they were waiting and not actually Mohg? If it's Mohg, I will cry. But if it's actually us, and they become the new god at the end of this game, and we're, like, their Elden Lord, or, like, their Shadow Lord, I guess? Question mark? Elden Shadow Lord, right? I don't know. It's a good theory, I guess. It's a pretty okay theory. It is very shaky, but
the rabbit hole
theory
goes
nonetheless.
deeper, because Melina is the one who gives you Torrent's whistle at the start of the game. And since we've now learned that Torrent was likely in the Land of Shadow with Miquella, does that mean that Melina would have ventured to the Land of Shadow to retrieve Torrent from Miquella at some point?
Or maybe she found it by Mohg's place.
Melina's origins are largely
it's
unresolved in
It's
Elden Ring,
unknown.
so I really hope we learn more about her
Yes,
story in
please.
this
I want to know
place.
more about Melina.
The fact that she might have traveled to a land that's enwreathed in Mesmer's flame might also explain why she's burned and bodiless, but now I'm just engaging in unhinged speculation, and these theories might have got out of hand. But let me do unhinged speculation on one more thing, and I want to draw your attention to the fact that we've learned that it's necessary to kill Radahn to access the DLC. That's curious. It seems to hint that his death is essential for events in the Land of Shadow to...
Yeah, because the stars don't move. If the stars don't move, it's like the same thing as like time not moving in Farah Mazula. The reason why we kill Malekith at all is to get back death, to bring back death into its proper time. As for the stars, well, the stars are for different reasons. But it also holds like Rani's destiny because it needs for either stars to align or stars to stars on something. I don't know, just stars on something.
Make sense. Logically, this would be related to the meteor shower that happens after you kill him, right? Because it's in this moment that the fate in the night sky is suddenly let free. Perhaps Melania was even chasing this world state where fate is freed from the night sky, and maybe she was sent here to kill Radahn on behalf of Miquella when she fought him all those years ago. What's crazy is we still don't know why Melania fought Radahn, so hopefully we get an answer for that as well. And of course, most of you won't have to worry about killing Radahn, as your characters are likely already at the end of the story. And
nope, not for me. I'm starting from scratch.
Story, Miyazaki's recent interview reveals that they don't currently have plans to make a second DLC for Elden Ring, so whatever ending that's coming with Miquella might be the final one. But that doesn't necessarily mean that it's shaping up to be a good ending with Miquella.
Pure and radiant, he wields love to shrive clean the hearts of men. There is nothing more terrifying.
To shrive is to hear confession, to assign penance and absolve someone. Sounds like a pretty harrowing process, and that is a perfect match for Miquella, who is described as both benevolent and fearsome. This is that ominous love of Miquella, which is a really unique vibe. And
yeah, I feel like Miquella's not as innocent.
Where things will go.
Like there's
Believe it or not, I've still got a lot of the trailer to break down, but first I'd like to finally reveal this. This is the Shadow of the Great Tree, a unique displate design that I wanted to create where you can flip it upside down.
Oh my gosh, what? It looks so good though.
Different perspective. There's two prints in one here. So this way,
dope setup. It really is.
Tree with roots snaking through the city below in the second half. But put the other way, it's a city with the trees of the underworld holding up the world. This is all made possible thanks to Displate's innovative magnet system.
It looks really, really good, honestly.
Prints can be easily stuck onto walls in whatever orientation you'd like without damaging your walls at all. If you get in quick, you can get this print for 22% off with the link below, and if you add any other prints to that order, you'll get 33% off everything, no matter what else you add to your cart. I have a whole set of other prints that you can browse on my page, or you can even get official Elden Ring prints on display.
Whoa! Frenzy Flame!
All of that in the description as well. Thank you for supporting my videos with any purchases you make. Let me quickfire some observations at you before I go, since there's a lot
we're nearly ending.
Quite
oh god!
Into the previous parts
6
of the
minutes.
Video. First, this is my favorite enemy design in the trailer. Its body is actually made up of 3 or 4 robed humanoid beings.
Yep, that looks
coordinating together to puppeteer this beast, just like the traditional lion dances from Chinese culture. It's amazingly inspiring.
Follow no jutsu. Thank you for the follow no jutsu. I'm back. Welcome back.
There was a culture that existed before the Golden Tree, and the lion dancer is derived from that culture. Next up, this character who sits alone in a room filled with debris. Quailag over on YouTube has acutely noted that they look very much like the scholar who appears upon the carrion inverted statue, which is a key item given to you by Rani.
Okay, I kind of had a feeling that they're from Rhea Lucaria's thing. I know they're of magic because blue and like those type of attires, they're very scholarly. So I kind of had a feeling that they're like magic.
During her questline, The area they appear in seems to also feature the many bird cages of Raya Lucaria, so it's exciting to see that we might be learning more about some of the glintstone sorcerers. Next, this character wears the deep navy hood of expatriated royalty, and the hood was gifted to those who saw the guidance of grace, who then departed on missions to faraway lands, from which they would never return.
Oh!
They cast a completely new spell type, and in the background we see lion statues with omen horns, and the fact that these lions with omen horns are venerated might suggest that this was from a time when horns were seen as signifiers of the divine and not symbols of ill omen. Also, I was so excited to see this player cast these golden wings.
The golden wings
We
look
have
dope.
many aspects of the Crucible spells, but we could never cast the wings, which until this point were only able to be utilized by the Crucible Knights. And I don't think that's the only new Crucible spell we're getting access to. A new screenshot shows the Tarnished using these golden porcupine spines, the same ones utilized by this deformed hippo enemy after it charges, and the sound it makes is just like a Crucible spell. But I wonder if this pot thrown by the player character is a spell or a consumable or a weapon art. And speaking of new screenshots, I want to know the story behind this guy. I will protect him with my life. It seems like he appears in this same
That looks so
field of
gorgeous,
blue
though.
flowers,
That looks
which,
gorgeous.
if you look carefully, has that grave that has a hole in it that you find in Morn's castle. There's also, of course, this red dancer character. There are a couple of dancer characters in Elden Ring, so maybe she's related to that. Oh, and I
Maybe.
also adore the design on this
That
guy,
one.
who
They are
is
ripping
attempting this
weapon.
impossible task of wrenching a sort of spinal golden ribcage through a hole in his skull. Interested to see what happens after that. And if you look closely at his robes, you'll notice he's actually the same character as the man in this portrait at
Oh my god! I forgot about that detail, actually. Are you preparing for DLC as well? Yes, I am. I'll be playing the DLC on my subathon. I think on the first starting day. I'll be playing it. Probably like a couple of hours. Maybe I'll burst through the bosses. I am preparing for the DLC, having to learn stuff on the DLC. And I also asked a friend of mine who is from the US of A, technically my head moderator, to buy the pre-order of my 18 inches of Mesmer that I will be treated to once it will be delivered to me here, because I can only buy it as it is once it's sold, like the actual boxes, not actually pre-ordering it, which I'm sad about. Here's hoping though that I actually do get the package soon, because that means I can try out the Steam code if it's actually worldwide. If it's not, then I'll just buy the DLC. That's fine. As much as I can support FromSoft and their endeavors, it is amazing. I hope to see more games from them, because it is such a good game. Good lore as well. From the amount of theories and the amount of nerding that I've been doing with Elden Ring on this entire 40 minutes has been crazy. 18 inches, exactly, yes. As the marketing of their Twitter said, treat yourself with 18 inches of Mesmer. So, the Impaler. Yeah. So I will indeed treat myself with the 18 inches of Mesmer the Impaler.
another point in the trailer. So there's clearly a story here, especially if they're worthy of a portrait, right? Next to
Who's the
this
girl,
man
though?
is a woman
Oh,
who
okay.
looks a little bit like a deathbed companion. The origins of the deathbed companions were alluded to in the base game, so it seems kind of fitting that we might explore those origins further in the Land of Shadow, but who knows? I also wonder if this enemy could be a Knight of Radan. They use
Ooh.
gravitational magic, as a lot of his knights do. They're also armored somewhat similarly, and they ride a boar, and Radan's helmet has boar-like tusks, so that might be a thing.
Could be.
There's just too much to speculate over. Could this armor be related to the Knight's cavalry? This Twitter user points out that Mesmer's statue looks a lot like the pose of the Cleanrot Knight. Is there a reason for that? Could these black knights with gold trim be related to Malekith? Are the people who are wearing masks part of House Mirai? Why is the top of this castle blackened and disintegrating
Yeah,
into the
gravitational
sky?
magic. Look.
Why is there a line of birds standing before you in this swamp? Is this character afflicted by frenzy? Are they a worm face? Their posture is
I hate
kind
the
of
worm
similar.
face. Disgusting.
Are we getting rune bear communion spells? And a huge question, why does Mesmer only have one functioning eye? So many questions, but I guess it'll
So
have
many
to wait.
questions.
Subscribe for more Elden Ring lore in the
Me
coming
from
weeks,
software.
and subscribe to keep up with all the biggest news regarding the DLC.
It should be the opposite. Like From Software is the worm eating our heads, having to give us all the gorgeous games that they do. Just like, yes, kill me with all those games, yes, kill me with all these games. Give it to me, From Soft, give it to me. First, 19 inches of Venom, and now we got 18 inches of Mesmer the Impaler. I need even more. The phrasing, it's not me. That is literally their marketing line. It literally says treat yourself with 18 inches of Mesmer. I'm not even kidding. You can look up to their Twitter right now and see that that's actually what it said. Oh no, there's more swamps. Yeah, there's more poisonous swamps, as Michael Zaki would like, because Michael or Miyazaki really loves them poison swamps that have no cure, which is very, very annoying. But yeah, we're kind of just having theories about what the DLC will bring. So I've just been not only nerding out and saying like lore stuff regarding on Elden Ring at the start of the video, and also still doing so in the middle of the video up until the end, but having to see some details and like their thoughts as well on it, and having to add up to that. I don't know. Let's just wait for it, see how it goes. Again, I don't know what build I'm gonna go for. I am very, very fickle. I literally change whatever I think of what build I do. Maybe I do Rivers of Blood. Maybe I do Bleed to just go ahead and wreck House and just immediately go to Mogs, because I can do that. Maybe I could go ahead and do Intelligence build again and get the, get the Holy Moonlight Greatsword so I can clean House with Malenia, because Frost is really good with Malenia, so, you know, it is what it is. It's a great marketing line. It really is, and a lot of people managed to buy it, so, you know, it worked. Big fan of Mike Zach's work. I am indeed. After playing Elden Ring, it made me want to play Bloodborne, Dark Souls, so that's the reason why I plan on having to buy Bloodborne and Dark Souls, because I want to see their lore, I want to see how that game works as well, see how it goes and everything, yada yada yada. I should go back and get used to the game again before it's out. Same, I haven't played this in like 2 years. Oh my gosh. I want to go back to my Strength Faith build. I don't remember what weapon it is, but mine is like the electric build that I could possibly do, which is like from the dragon in the Golden Capital, the weapon you can get there. I want Bloodborne on PC. I don't know if they're making it. I wish they do. If they don't make it, I will cry. I will cry if they don't make it. This is the well-known Let Me Solo Her video. You guys want to see how Malenia is, or how her fight is, and have not played the game at all? This is how a veteran of fighting Malenia for the end time plays this game. No armor, just a potted head. And Rivers of Blood, I think. Or like, not Rivers of Blood, but like a Bleed build, I think. Let's see. Not much Bleed, surprisingly. But, yep, yeah, okay, there's still Bleed. The proc is crazy. The Bleed proc is crazy. And dodge, yep. Up. That's the, yep. Got dodge out, dodge in, dodge far, yep. Okay, that is the move that a lot of people hate, which is called, I think, waterfowl dance. And that move right there can insta-kill you and bring back Malenia's health. Oh yeah, if you don't know, Malenia has this ability that if they strike you, they bring back their health, which is annoying. But I guess it makes it harder, I guess, maybe scale a little bit of their health a little bit lesser, but you know, either way. But yeah, you basically dodge forward because you have a frame of having to dodge forward, technically. You have invincibility for dodging in general. So if you dodge forward, you will be invincible. Then just run away, and then by the end of it, just go back and dodge forward again, and it makes sense because yeah, you wouldn't be hit as much. Oh wait, they do have rivers of blood. Yeah, they do have rivers of blood. I'm just stupid. I didn't see it. This okay. As someone who fought Malenia for 1,000 times, not 1,000 times, but like for a lot of times, literally the reason why I think my deaths on when I first played this game, I calculate all my deaths, by the way. Surprisingly, it's less than 500 deaths. As someone who is a first time in any FromSoft game, the fact that I have less than 500 deaths means a lot to me. And I think half of those was like Malenia's were doing. They upped the number by 60 to 90, I think. So I don't remember how much I tried, but I tried a lot. It took me a couple of days into actually beating Malenia. But this is a dance. It literally is a dance. It is calculated for you to know their attacks and to not be stupid enough to let you hit her. Or well, no, to have her hit you. I don't know why I said that. But having to do this back and forth, you have to know when they're attacking and you have to dodge in a perfect time. So I think having a very an agility type stat where you can move and dodge as fast as you can, having a lot of endurance is nice. And having to know your openings is really, really good. Because for me, I did kind of hard mode because I used like the Holy Moonlight Greatsword, and I frosted my way into killing her basically. Because Frost is really just busted against Malenia. But even then, I did manage to learn, and I did defeated Malenia, so I'm a winner, baby. I'm a winner. I don't care what anyone says. I'm a winner. I won against Malenia. It is GG's. I have done it. I have won against Malenia. I have won against Malenia. I have fought Malenia, and I've won against her. And that is literally my crowning achievement in any FromSoft games. I can defeat Malenia. I can defeat Lady Maria, or Sister Freed, or fucking Medir. This little to no, yeah, it's a little like you cannot have much error, because if you do, especially on the waterfowl dance, you will lose so much progress. Even if you live, her health will come back. The little damage that you did in like at all would just go back immediately because you got hit in between the waterfowl dance. And second phase. This one I would say is easier. Am I stupid by saying that like the second phase is easier? I feel like the second phase for me was easier. Maybe because I was a mage build, and because when she did this, all I did was dodge, run away, spam all my spells that were the hardest spells ever to conjure up, and then just blasted house all the way to half health. Dodge. Yep. Dodge. Alright, opening. Good. Dodge. That's a kick. Up, a little bit of frost. Nice. Up, dodge. Kick. Yeah. Up, nice. Up. If she did that twice, I would have won. If she did that twice and immediately, I would have won that. Like, actually. Her second phase design goes hard. It is! It really is! Look at it! She's a goddess! Her hair is wings with butterflies! Oh, this one! Yeah, this one! Go left, right, and then back. Or another left, right. Either way. It's a little bit delayed, but you have to know that there was a last hit there. Yep, there you go. Okay. Dodge. Nice. Up. Dodge again. Good. Opening. Dodge. Nice. This person was not greedy. This person that literally did the let me solo her was not greedy. He waited for all the openings he could find, knowing full well he could do or output as much damage on those openings. So nice. I swear they made her harder because she is more aggressive now. I don't think so. She's the same as she is, from what I remember. It's very RNG. Her moves are RNG, Spectre. There's nothing else I can tell you. The AI is so RNG with how the moves can be fucked. Like, she can She can do like waterfowl dance once and like do it again just because she feels like doing it. Yay!